I'm gonna turn some of this stuff off so that hopefully you guys can hear me a little better. I've been getting a lot of comments on the previous video that I posted about this domestic terrorism that these drivers have brought on us. And I wanna kind of go over some of these comments with you guys, and I want to hear your feedback. Okay, so I'm gonna go over some of the comments on the YouTube video about what I said in there, and I'm gonna let you know what some of these people have said. If you have the chance, go back, check out the video, look in the comments, and you'll see what I'm talking about. My internet service in and everything is kind of shit right here. Okay, so somebody said that how dare I call them a domestic terrorist? Well, if some of these people would learn how to read and understand the definition of what domestic terrorism really is, they would understand why I called them domestic terrorists, and that this is a terrorist act. Okay? Now, the definition of domestic terrorism, as defined by the 2001 Patriot Act. Domestic terrorism is defined as activities that A, involve dangerous acts to human life that are a violation of criminal laws of the U.S. or any state, which impeding commerce is. Okay? If you're impeding commerce, if you're blocking off an interstate, that is dangerous. Those are dangerous acts to human life. All right. Now, hold on. Where was I? Okay. Or appear to be intended to, or coerce a civilian population. Intimidate or coerce a civilian population. What they did on the highway is an act of intimidation. Okay? That's an act of intimidation, if you ask me. Can we agree that 25, 50 trucks sitting on an interstate, people saying, oh, fuck you, out in front of it, seems like an act of intimidation to me. Okay? Yes, I have a bad connection. I'm in Wyoming, so deal with the fuzziness. To influence the policy, okay? These are parts of what the Patriot Act defines as domestic terrorism. It says to influence the policy of a government by intimidation or coercion, or to affect the conduct of a government by mass destruction, assassination, kidnapping, and occur primarily within territorial jurisdiction of the U.S. If you read this right here, it says intimidation, coercion, violation of laws, blah, 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 are defined as domestic terrorism. So for those of you that have commented on the previous video asking how I can call you a domestic terrorist, there you go. Aaron, it's not the fact of how, it doesn't matter how long they did it. It doesn't matter where they did it. That they did it. And then the pictures that are shared are not pictures showing unity, are not pictures of people talking about, are not pictures of people talking about why they did it, or videos of why they did it. It's people saying, oh, we could do this the easy way or the hard way. And you got pictures of guys standing in front of 6 or 7 trucks doing this on the interstate. Does that look professional? No. It's meant to intimidate people, is what it is. That's all it is. That what they did was not the right way. It was not the right way. You want to shut down, then shut down. Park in a fucking parking lot. They were just independent drivers who, like yourself, who I think conducted themselves in a professional manner. Aaron, I respect your opinion, and I think that some of the things you saw from them were professional. Okay, I'm not saying that they weren't. Do you qualify? Answer me this, Aaron. Do you qualify standing in front of some trucks on an interstate highway outside of our capital, going like this to the camera and posting that all over Facebook and saying, I beat you motherfuckers? Do you think that is professional? Is that professional to you? Are those the kind of people you want speaking on your behalf as a driver? I don't think you do. I don't think you find that professional. Domestic terrorism or homegrown terrorism is terrorism targeting victims within a country by a perpetrator with the same citizenship as the victims. There are many definitions of terrorism, and none universally accepted by definition. The United States Department of State defined terrorism in 2003 as premeditated, politically motivated violence perpetrated against non-combatant targets by subnational groups or clandestine agents, usually intended to influence an audience. Listen, all of the information is out there. Just like we say that you can Google trucking information, you can Google this shit too. It's pretty simple, right? It's pretty simple to look that stuff up. I don't know. I don't think they need to lose their CDL. I don't think that taking someone's livelihood away is the right way to do it. Neo, knock off the shit or I'll block you. It's a serious topic. I don't think that they need to lose their CDL. I don't think that they need to lose their livelihood. I don't believe in that kind of stuff. I understand that, Aaron, and I agree with you. We are overregulated. We have way too many restrictions. We all agree on the same thing. Excuse me, on the same things. What we don't agree on is how to get people's attention in order to change those things. We can all agree that we're overregulated, drivers are underpaid, overworked, underappreciated, everything. That's what that means. Okay, we all agree. The fact remains is that what happened in DC this year and things that happened last year were unprofessional. And those people do not represent me. They do not represent me as a driver, as an owner-operator, as an American, as anything. They call themselves patriots. Okay? A patriot is not somebody that shuts down an interstate. It's not a patriot. A patriot does not interfere with commerce. A patriot does not interfere with the way of life of the American people. That is not a patriot. Okay? It just isn't. You can't go around just saying, oh, well, I'm done. I'm shutting this shit down, whatever. You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that to the people. You can't do that to the country. You can't do that to the other drivers. You can't do that to our industry. You can't do that to commerce. You can't do that to anybody. If we shut down all these trucks, not only does it affect the United States, it affects the world. The United States economy would be greatly affected shutting down all of these trucks. We all know that as drivers. They know that as lawmakers, as politicians. Nobody wants that to happen. And I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to get everybody to do it. And here's why. You can have 25, 50 trucks go sit on a freaking highway in the US, okay? There's Ray Liddy. He was around. Everyday Ray was around, okay? Back in those days. Okay, you had dudes getting shot. You had all this stuff. You can go have 25, 50 people. All you're doing is making yourself look like an ass. Okay? What you're doing is making yourself look like an ass. You're making the rest of the industry look like an ass, because that is what the news media will pick up. They won't pick up the fact that you had informational booths down at the Capitol Mall. They won't pick up the fact that you were being nice to people, letting them sit in trucks and take pictures and kids to blow the air horns. They don't give a shit about that. What they'll feed the American public is the fact that you had 5 guys standing on a freeway going like this to the American people. That's it. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter. The other shit don't matter. It doesn't, guys. The other shit don't matter. I'm sorry. Do we all want it to change? Yeah, but it doesn't matter. And you can't have it that way. You can't have it that way. You can't have the American public thinking that we are all rude and forceful and uncooperative. Okay? That's exactly right, Joseph. That's all that people will see. All that people will see is this, is the people standing in front of those trucks, calling themselves patriots, but yet they're telling the American people to shove it up their ass. It's not the way to get down, guys. It's not the way it's going to work. We're not going to accomplish nothing with that, okay? We just won't. You guys know that. Well, Callie, I can tell you something. I respond to you. Uber's not in the autonomous truck game anymore, by the way. They announced that a little while back. So they're not, no one's in that game right now. So you don't have to worry about that. But the fact remains, I for some reason I can't pull up the comments from this video, but there's people over there commenting right now. If you want to see what they're talking about, go to the previous video that I did. Go to the previous video that I did about this, and you'll see the thread in the comments. Okay? Mike, I'm not trying to make it a screen fest at all. What I'm trying to do is talk a lot about facts and definitions and what people see. Perception is key when it comes to trying to do something like this. I think we can all agree on that. I think we can agree that perception is key. If the public perceives us as animals, if the public perceives us as unprofessional and erratic, then that's what we're going to be treated like. If you see a little kid that's a brat, you're going to treat the little kid like a brat. That's all there is to it. And you can't expect anything good to come of it. You can't expect anything good to come from this. These are the pictures that will make it out. There's other pictures. I looked. There's other pictures of them doing cool things down at the Capitol Mall. And no one is negating any of the good, professional things that they did. Okay? None. They didn't do all bad shit. Okay? And then here's the other thing. When you look at this, what they did. Now you tell me, if there were 50 drivers out on that highway, shutting that freeway down, how many of those 50 do you think were upset when Black Lives Matter did the same thing? And they called them terrorists, and they said, oh, I'll drop, and I heard it on the radio. I've heard it on the radio, I've heard it on the phone, I've heard it on messages, I've seen it everywhere. How many of them, out of those 50, how many do you think said, Black Lives Matter is terrorists, I'll drop a gear and just plow over them, all that kind of shit? You know damn well they were saying it. They were bitching about Black Lives Matter. You know they were. Okay? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. You can't have the pot calling the kettle black when they're out there bitching about Black Lives Matter, blocking off interstates and freeways all over the country, but yet they want to go and do the same thing. It doesn't work that way. You can't do that. You can't be hypocritical and try to get your point across. It doesn't work. Do I think a shutdown will get people's attention? Yes. But I think a shutdown in the right way. I think a shutdown where everybody takes a 10-hour break at the same time, or something like that. Everybody goes home for 2 days, or some shit. Who knows? But you can't have it like this. Exactly, Jason. You're 100% right. That's right, Adrian. You're correct too. I made this point earlier on Zello. We were talking about this, and even though we would all agree that a shutdown or everybody taking a 10-hour break or something like that at the same time would get everyone's attention, you have a huge problem because there's all of these companies out there that pay drivers next to nothing, and there's guys and gals that are working for companies. And they're living paycheck to paycheck to paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. You guys understand that because we've all done it at one time or another. We've all been in a bad spot financially, or we had a rough time when we first came into the industry, whatever it was. Those men and women that are currently making 36 or 40 cents a mile and have to run their ass off every week, they wouldn't be able to do that. You know why? Because they need to get that load delivered on time to get on to the next one, to make that paycheck to be able to pay their bills. So there's a lot of issues at play here. There's things that need to be done to show that we're serious and we do want people's attention. But you can't do it you can't do it this way. It's not going to work. It's going to have such a horrible public perception. Now there's a lot of people on here that are agreeing with me and disagreeing with me in the comments of this other video. Someone said that if I was in the same category, I wouldn't even think about calling any American truck driver a domestic terrorist. Trucks keep America moving. You guys are domestic terrorists by definition. Please go and look it up. You'll understand what I'm talking about. The Black Lives Matter shit, domestic terrorism, locking down a highway and using a show of force to intimidate or coerce is by definition domestic terrorism. Give it a Google. Okay? Give it a Google. Someone said domestic terrorists. I don't think so. No violence, no threats. Learn the definition of domestic terrorism, and then please, you will understand why I use the term. Okay, so this guy here, David Townsend, he says everyone has a chance. Excuse me. Everyone has a chance to voice your opinion, intelligent opinion, on the government website. If it's such a problem they feel so strongly about the hours of service, but it can't be much of a problem because only 3,000 people voice their opinion out of 3 million drivers. Okay, I like driving less hours. It keeps freight up and pay. Besides, if you can't make money in 11 hours, you're doing something wrong. I agree with him. How come out of 3-4 million people on the road, only 3,000 people commented on that thing? I don't get it. Aaron, go ahead. Ask your question, buddy. Yeah, Dave, you make an excellent point there. He says it blows my mind that FMCSA was asking for input about the hours of service and had a comment period. And a lot of people don't like Kevin Rutherford, but he was trying to get the word out so you could have your input. Yeah, exactly. I talked about that thing. Ike Stevens talked about it. There's a few other guys that talked about that comment period. Only 3,000 people went and commented. It was a little over, I think it was like 3,100 or something like that from what I read. The FMCSA read that and they listened and they published some of the comments. Some of the comments that people made, they published them. It's pretty crazy. This guy says, I strongly disagree. We don't have any reputation. So they had to do what they had to do. It had to come to a conclusion like that, but it had to be done and go out of service, or very unfair to force people to drive tired because you can't split your driving time. If I'm tired, blah, blah, blah. I guarantee you a majority of these people didn't go, and this isn't even fucking English. Whoever this is, you're an idiot. Learn grammar and sentence structure, maybe when you leave a comment. Anyway, there's a lot to be said about that. 4 million trucks on the road, 3,100 comments on that thing. I don't get it. For companies to impede, it's okay for companies to impede traffic with the trucks that are governed under 70 is safe, and all four-wheelers are allowed to want. What are you talking about? It's not impeding, Aaron. If they're able to be passed. There isn't a law that says you can't pass somebody that's going under the speed limit. Okay? It's a totally different topic. Is it impeding traffic? Yes, but it's not domestic terrorism. They're not stopping the flow of traffic. They're not trying to change anybody's mind by force. Look up the fucking, listen, you dumbass fuckfaces. Look up the definition of domestic terrorism. Learn how to fucking read, and then you will understand what the fuck I'm talking about. Until you look up the definition and you learn what it means, and there's some big words in there that you might have to fucking Google those words in order to understand it. Jesus Christ, you guys are the problem. You guys are the problem. You're uneducated. Okay? Educate yourself. Educate yourself. Good Lord. We all know that there's a lot of problems with the industry, guys. We know it. We know that there's problems with the industry. What we're talking about is the proper way to fix it. In my opinion, my belief, I don't think that standing on the fucking highway is the way to change things. I don't think that that is the way to do it. That's my opinion. Everyone's entitled to their own. But I will not, myself and my friends, people that I know, that I talk to on a regular basis, will not support this kind of shit. We won't support it. Because to us, it is domestic terrorism. To us, it causes the public to see us as shitbags. It's not the way to do it. Back in the 70s or whatever, you know, you remember, like, you hear the old school guys talk about the Teamster strike and all. There were people getting fucking shot over that. Because guys needed to work to make money, and the people that were on strike wanted to fucking kill them. Are you kidding me? Are you just kidding me? Come on, guys. This isn't the way to get change made. It isn't the way to get change made. Yes, uneducated is what I said. Uneducated. You're 100% right. Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate it. You're very welcome. I'm trying to find some other people that disagree with me. Just trying to look for some people that disagree with me so I'm read through these comments. Okay, this says, this guy, Northeast Boston. He says, you sound stupid. Do you know what the fuck a terrorist is? So you're saying when black Americans protest the shooting death of an unarmed man in his own home by a rogue cop, is that a terrorist? I don't believe that a protest is terroristic. I believe that shutting down a fucking interstate is. So, if that group of black Americans protest the slaying of a man or a child or a woman by a rogue cop who is not in the right, if they do that on a fucking highway, that is terrorism. If they do it on a sidewalk, that is not terrorism. Do you understand the difference? You got to read the definition of domestic terrorism, domestic terrorist, to understand my point. That is the problem. Okay, this guy says that sometimes when a government becomes tyrannical, Americans have to do what they have to do. We have no representation. We as Americans shouldn't have all these regulations on us. Cops, driver, patrol cars, and people can't write. Cops drive patrol cars and carry guns, but have no limitations on how many hours they can work. Same with every other profession in America. Okay, see, this is the problem here. People try to make a point, but they don't use a good analogy. Okay, using an analogy of a police officer versus the amount of hours that they can work versus us. First of all, cops are the police forces around the country are underpaid and undermanned. Therefore, they do work longer hours, which is unfortunate because they shouldn't have to. Those guys should make a lot more money than what they do and have to work a lot less hours. So That, to me, that's bad. Saying that we don't have any representation, you're 100% false. We do have representation. Your dumbass just probably doesn't make enough money in order to pay for it, or you're too stupid to do some research and understand that OIDA exists, because OIDA is a very good representative for the trucking industry, and it's like $35 a year. Even a brand new company driver can afford $35 a year. That's like $250 a month or something. All right. You just have to understand that. Come on, guys. Come on. What does this MBT guy say? Who's MBT? What'd he say? Where'd he go? Look at that comment. I'd like to respond. Section 802 USA Patriot Act expanded the definition of terrorism to cover domestic as opposed to international terrorism. Okay, well, you gotta go look up the actual definition. It's there. It is very frustrating, Mike. It's very frustrating to try to make a point to people that they don't understand. So, listen, guys, I'm going to end this, but I want you to leave your comments after I post. Go back to the other video and look through the comments, and you'll see people in there that agree with me and disagree. And I haven't deleted any comments. I haven't screened them. If they were flagged for, foul language or something like that, then they weren't approved. But just because the people don't agree with me, I did not remove their comments, okay? I'll take a couple more a little here. Let's see. UPS KC says, let's address the real issue. Drivers who don't make enough money have a problem with hours of service. Maybe changes and regulations need to be put on the carrier, and it'll all work out. UPS KC, I agree with you. A lot of the guys that have a problem with hours of service, they lost a lot of money when the government actually started enforcing the hours of service on everybody across the board equally. From the time I came into the trucking industry, I've been on an ELD except for a short period of time here at Traveloco after I left night. So that's all I ever knew, and I made more than enough money. As a company driver at Night Transportation, I was making like $70,000, $72,000 a year. Okay? It can be done. You can make a good living as a company driver running on an ELD. Most of these guys wanted to run on paper logs, have 2 or 3 log books, run outlaw, all this other kind of shit. And now they can't. And so, boo-hoo. Sorry. Work harder, motherfucker. Work smarter. Pretty simple. Somebody said too much swearing on my channel. Bob G, fuck you. It's a comment on an older video, but pretty funny. Anyways, guys, I'm going to shut this down like I said. I appreciate all of the interaction. I appreciate all the comments. You can obviously tell that people are very passionate about this kind of stuff. And that's a good thing. But we need to turn that passion into action. But we need to do it the right way. We need to do it the right way. Am I the smartest trucker in the industry? No, I'm sure I'm not. But I'm intelligent enough to know the difference. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go to Zello. You head over there. The link to the Zello channel is in the description if you want a further discussion. If not, I'm sure other guys are going to go live and talk about this. I know Jay Cannell's got some stuff to say. I believe Ike has some stuff to say. I'm sure the coach has some stuff to say. I'm pretty sure that we're all going to talk about this because it is something that we're all passionate about and we all want to share our opinions. But we've all got to work together on a good solution. not creating a distraction from the real problem. All this does is distract from the problem. Block that guy. All it does is distract from the problem. Okay? That's it. These guys bring the problem to light, but they distract from it when they're out on the highway doing this shit. Okay? Simon, it's something good to listen, or Simeon, it's something good to listen to. Go back after it posts and listen. Okay? Just listen if you want to. Ike, are you and Jay gonna go live? If you are, drop it in the comments. If not, I'm going to Zello. We'll be there. You guys can come and chat it up. I appreciate it. Check the comments on the other video and leave your opinion on this one after it posts. Thanks, guys. I appreciate all the interaction. Thumbs up.